What is up, Algebra 1? Welcome to review day number 3. In review day number 3, we are focusing just on linear story problems. Now, this is just question type 7, but I have it broken up into two parts. This part is all story problems. You're not going to know whether to use standard form or if you need to use slope-intercept form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So, the first thing you're always going to want to do in these problems is determine if it's standard form or slope-intercept form. Now, I told you the first one is standard form, but you know that when there are three numbers. At a school fundraiser, students can buy t-shirts for $10 each and hats for $5 each. By the end of the event, the booth collected $350. So we have t-shirts for 10, we have hats for 5, and we had a total of $350. So because we have three numbers, we know we are using standard form. So I like to write it down. I know I'm using ax plus by equals c. So the second thing is figuring out, first, what is our total value? Okay, $10 is the t-shirts, $5 is the hats, but $350, that's our total. So we know this equation is going to equal up to $350. Okay, so I used my $350. Now I need to figure out what does 10 go with and what does 5 go with. 10 is t-shirts, and we know t-shirts is going to be x. So I know 10 needs to go next to x, so 10 is my a value. 10x, which means 5, which is hats, goes with my y value, plus 5y. Okay, so that's number 3. We wrote our equation. 10x plus 5y equals 350. Now we need to answer two questions. Okay, the first question, if the fundraiser sold 20 t-shirts, how many hats did they sell? So this is number 5 over here. Okay, to answer questions, if they give you an x value, type in x equals into Desmos. If they give you a y value, we're going to type in y equals. So here it told us we sold 20 t-shirts. T-shirts is our x value. So in Desmos, I'm going to type in x equals 20. So let's go do that. So I'm going to type in my equation, 10x plus 5y equals 350. Okay, I don't see it, so I'm just going to do some zooming out. There's my line. Now, I'm typing in x equals 20 because that's how many hats I sold. And hats is an x value, or t-shirts is an x value. Now, I'm going to click on the point where our two lines cross. I see my 20. When I sell 20 t-shirts, then that means I sold 30 hats. That's my y value. So I'm going to type in 30 hats. The second type of question you're going to need to answer for standard form is what are two other possible scenarios? Okay, so to find possible scenarios, you click and drag on your line until you find a nice, pretty number. One trick is if you zoom out, usually it's easier to find these nice numbers. You can see I'm finding a ton of nice numbers, whereas if I'm really far zoomed in, I get tons and tons of decimals. So zoom your picture out a little bit, and any points on these lines that are pretty numbers are possible scenarios. So for example, 1540, that's a point on my line. I can add that. 15 t-shirts, 40 hats. Okay, let's find another one. Again, I'm just clicking on my red line and dragging. Now I don't want to put negative numbers because I can't sell negative hats and t-shirts. Okay, here's another one. 25 t-shirts, 20 hats. 25, 20. So those are two other possible scenarios where we'd end up making $350 at our school fundraiser. Okay, let's look at the next type. Okay, so again, we're still question type 7, but this is a slope-intercept. And remember, slope-intercept means we're writing our equation y equals mx plus b, and we know when we have two numbers, this is how we're going to write our equation. So a local music charges $30. Oop, I want highlighter. $30 registration fee. Plus, we're selling $12 per piano. 12 per piano per lesson for piano class. We know X is the number of lessons and Y is the total cost. So because we have two numbers, we're going to use Y equals MX plus B, and I'm just going to write it down. Y equals MX plus B. Why? Because I had two numbers. So we need to determine which one is M and which one is B, because we need to plug a number in for M and B. We'll leave our X and Y where they are. So a couple ways you can know is you're looking for keywords. For the slope, the M value, you're looking for words like this. Per, each, every, rate. Something that's happening more than once. The more piano classes we take, the more times we have to pay $12. We have to pay $12 more than once. It depends on how many classes we take. Whereas 30, it's a fee. It's a one-time thing. If I take 30 piano lessons, I only have to register once and pay $30 one time. So 30 is my B, and 12 is my M. So I can write my equation. Y equals my M, which was 12, X, and then my B, plus 30. So here's the equation of my line. Okay, next we're going to type it into Desmo so we can answer some questions. So we have Y equals 12X plus 30. Now, just like before, in our problem, it tells us if we're doing X or Y. So if a student takes 8 piano lessons, okay? Piano lessons, it's $12 per lesson. So X is our piano lessons, okay? It also tells us X represents the number of lessons. So we know we are taking 8 lessons. X equals 8. I'm going to see where they cross. If I take 8 lessons, it will cost $126. The second question doesn't tell me how many lessons. It's telling me if a student pays $174, and Y is the total cost. So I'm going to type in Y equals $174 and see where they cross. If I pay $174 for my piano classes, that means I registered and took 12 classes. 12 classes. Okay, and that is the only questions we are focusing on today. Question type 7, you're going to need to know which equation to pick. It's not going to tell you which one. So in our packet, if you go to question type 7, it will look just like this. Write a linear equation for the story problem and answer the following follow-up questions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 story problems that you need to get done today. You're going to write your equation and answer the one follow-up question. Okay? When you're finished with that, make sure you go back and finish anything else you haven't completed. And that's a wrap on story problems day number 3.